Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Press Start podcast, Press Start Australia's weekly video game discussion podcast. I'm your host, James, joined today by my fellow gamers and co-hosts, Shannon
Hello.
and Ewan.
Hello, how we doing? I get to kick back
I'm
and just
doing-
have a beer on the podcast again. Don't have to stress about anything.
Absolutely.
Jamsy leads the way.
Yeah, always. So on the show today, we're going to discuss our reviews of Super Mario Bros. Wonder and Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, the Switch successors' backwards compatibility, and a sneak peek at what could be the next Assassin's Creed. But first, guys, I have had a nice little 3-day break from work, which is coming to an end today, unfortunately. So I've actually had the time to cook myself breakfast every morning, rather than Uber Eats McDonald's. So,
whoa.
Well, that all change tomorrow.
Time out. How often are you Uber Eating McDonald's for breakfast?
Not as much as you would think. But I know it's a regular thing
so you
for
don't,
some people in the room.
You either don't eat breakfast or you
I-
Uber Eats it. There's not like an in between of like
Nah,
I'll just pop on some toast.
I have seen a photo of the floor of James's car once. We'll embed that for the video.
Yeah. That's very different.
That wasn't Uber
Anyway.
related. That's
Nah, sometimes you just it's your day off. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to cook. Why not?
Because I'm not a
ordering-
breakfast guy, but I'm never ordering breakfast. Like if
Really? Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm like a coffee. Like if I'm really super lazy, I'll Uber Eats a coffee and then
Yeah.
get
I'm like
something
more-
else just because I feel
I'm
bad
more
only getting a
breakfast
coffee.
than lunch. Is that
Nah.
controversial?
No,
No.
breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
I mean, I don't Uber Eats a lot of lunch either. It's like 90% dinner. I'd say the remaining 10% is lunch, and then never.
I love
breakfast.
cooking dinner out of all 3 meals.
Yeah, I guess
But
if you're
anyway,
not Uber
my-
Eating for dinner, then you can do lunch and breakfast as much as you like.
Oh wow. Okay. I'm feeling judged, even though I don't even do that anymore. But that was an old version of me. They're in the past now.
Anyhow, I think you were going
but
to
my
tell us about
question-
Super Mario Wonder.
Oh, okay. So you're backseat hosting again.
I'm just, I'm just trying to segue for you. Sorry.
No. Well, I didn't. That wasn't even my question. We didn't even get to my breakfast question.
Oh,
But we'll move. We can move
no,
on.
go hit it.
I'm curious
No,
now.
We'll never.
Okay, so we ran out of bacon, so I cooked some ham. Now, is that bacon or ham? That was my question.
No, that's fair. That you can. I've done that before. That's totally acceptable.
It's baked ham.
As long as we all acknowledge it's not as
What?
good, it's just not. It's never gonna be the same. There's no way you're cooking ham such that it becomes
So
bacon.
I'm
but-
not a big bacon first person. I would go ham any day. I
I
don't
actually think
love-
that ham is better, is
What?
what I was
Yeah.
going
Really?
to say. I've discovered. Yeah.
like when I get a big breakfast, I'll always leave the bacon. I'll have a little bit,
Oh,
but
so
that's
that's weird.
always what gets left. Nah, I just like to eat. I'll eat any other meat before the bacon.
in a big breakfast sort of setting.
Yeah.
Wow, controversial. Hmm.
No, I mean maybe you're onto something. Certainly the meat.
I'm
I'm having
definitely not
beforehand.
Uber eating bacon.
But-
Is what you can take from that.
No,
Yeah, it's gonna
like,
rival rubbery. Bacon needs to be eaten fresh.
lovely frittata. That would travel well. Anyway.
Qantas thinks
So, yeah.
so, that's for sure. Sorry.
Is that just
yeah,
an in
Inside
joke between the
joke.
two
I
of
was,
you?
yeah, because I had got 4 flights this week. I'm just over
Every time.
It's always a frittata on the plane or some kind of baked egg good, and whoever feels like that whilst flying, nobody.
on the flight I was on recently, they were handing out these boxes that were kind of thin rectangular boxes, and they're here's a sandwich, and I'm like, that's not a sandwich. A sandwich doesn't come in a long kind of rectangular box like that. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe one of those triangular
good?
ones you get at 7-Eleven, but not that. And you open it up, and it was like kind of a stuffed pastry thing that had kind
The
of
frittatas?
pizza
Was it
toppings inside it. Is it? Are we talking about the same thing? Is that a frittata?
I don't know. Well,
No,
I
a
don't
frittata
know.
is
eggy,
a
but I did
wet
maybe
Anyhow,
get
it's
what you were talking
90%
about.
bread and then 5% tomato sauce and then maybe the remaining
Yeah,
5% some
anyway,
meat vegetable combination. It was not a
It's
sandwich.
just not it. Just give me a cookie or something.
I just think they should do party pies and sausage rolls on a flight.
Or
I reckon
that,
Literally.
that's a crowd
nuggets.
pleaser.
Like,
Yeah.
you can't go wrong.
Yeah, you can't.
You
yeah.
should serve on a
It's like-
plane what you get at like a 5-year-old's birthday party. Like it
Just
should
like-
be the same.
just like assorted like servo food, like crumb
Yeah.
sausages, dim sims.
Why
all
don't
that
they
shit.
come down with like Zupa Dupas or something? Like
yeah.
good little refreshing snack
That'd be sticky.
for your flight to Sydney.
Once I got magnums
True.
on a flight, that was very decadent, but they were like rock hard.
What I would love if, like, on a flight to Zupa Duper, like the attendant comes out, hands them all out, and then a second one follows behind with a pair of scissors.
With the scissors. Well, maybe we should be running airlines,
Yeah.
not podcasts. Anyway, that went in a direction I never would have expected. But Super Mario Bros. Wonder, it's obviously out. We've all played it. We can talk about it a little bit more freely than I could 2 weeks ago. What do we all think of it? Is it good? Do we love it? Do we hate it? Do we wish that you could shoot people with guns in it, like Ewan seems to think for every Nintendo
Pokemon.
property? Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it. I will say I've played very, very little of the game so far. Like, I think I'm just onto the second world. So, like, really not made any headway into the game at all. I spent most of my weekend playing Spider-Man, which also, like, side note to this whole thing, fucking amazing. But Super Mario Wonder, what I've enjoyed about it so far is that everything that I've seen, like, in the trailer and the marketing kind of the lead up to it, was like the first 2 levels. It's like I feel like the game is kind of has held so much back, and I can't wait for all the kind of cool secrets and surprises that await me the further I get into the game. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment in my excitement for it.
Yeah, similar to you, and I took the Switch away with me because I was away on the weekend, but I had like 4 or 5 kids with me, so I just knew there was going to be no chance to pull it out without that experience being absolutely ruined. So I decided not to.
You would not be
But
getting
yeah,
those
I think
wonder
I'm
seeds.
just through the first world as well, and obviously played the PAX demo, which I think had bits of the first and second world in it. And yeah, love it. And just seeing so many TikTok snippets, which I'm trying to just scroll through, but obviously I'll catch a glimpse. And yeah, like Ewan said, there's like so much that I feel like I have seen that I hadn't seen before, and know that there still is to see. And like even like the intro and stuff, like it's just a genuine joy. Like the second you boot in, and looks absolutely gorgeous. It feels like an evolution for the series, which is cool.
Yeah, I was keen to put that question to you, James, because you obviously reviewed it. You gave it a 10. I think that's kind of like worth pointing out. Do you
Yeah.
think
Big for James.
Do you think kind
Not
of
as far as
this
Resident Evil.
point you're at right now, here and now, is this the best 2D Mario game there's been?
I will always have a soft spot for like number 3, like back on the NES. I think that's still my solid, and I know everyone really likes Mario World, but I've never really liked that much. But yeah, I think it is probably my second favorite, like of all time. I think
So second to
from
3.
the second, yeah, I love 3 still. I think that will always have a spot in my heart and stuff. But yeah,
And
my
other organs in the body.
associated organs, yeah. It really hits me in the spleen, that one. But no. But I think with Wonder, I mean, it's kind of astounding to think like they've put this a Mario game out like this so many times, but they haven't really reinvented it as much as Wonder does.
Yeah.
Wonder reminded me a lot of Odyssey in that you'll grab a Wonder Flower and you'll have some mechanic that's only used in that level from that point on, and then never again. You know, like it's a new thing every level, and it reminds me a lot of Odyssey in that way, where you would maybe turn into something that would only be for like 10 seconds or something, but it would be something completely unique and then never again. It just keeps throwing and I can tell you for a fact it throws new shit at you every level, like right up until the last level. Like there's not really reused stuff anywhere. And on the odd occasion they do, it's very different circumstances, so it feels new and different anyway. And that's the thing about that. When I finished it, like I was actually like upset, not because like it was disappointing or whatever, just because like it was just so good. And I wanted more, and it was, like I said, it's not from a place of being underwhelmed. It's just that there's just so many ideas that you know that the limit is almost endless for them.
Because on that note, I think we have spoken about with Odyssey that like we were surprised it didn't get DLC or like a sequel, just because there are so many things that would have taken like weeks or months to code, and it's used for like 10 seconds. Like, could they have made it longer and reused some of that? Like some of the, again, I've only played a world, but like I know what you're talking about in the sense that like some wonder stuff would last for 10 or 15 seconds and then not be used again. Like, could they have added another, doubled the levels, say, and reused stuff, or would that have taken away some of the wonder, if you will?
I guess yeah, that's the thing. If they kept going, maybe it would maybe great, but it does feel perfectly length wise, perfectly. What's the word I'm looking
Perfectly
for?
long.
Like it feels like the right
Its length
amount
is
of levels.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
perfect
Like
length.
it doesn't overstay its welcome. Doesn't really understay its welcome.
Mm.
The optional stuff is really really fun because it's quite difficult, and I feel like a lot of people have really wanted that from a Mario game for a while. And that some of these levels are really tough. Like I remember I spent 30 plus minutes on one, just completely like redoing it to the point where, I memorized the whole thing and just got better at it and finally beat it. At like 2 a.m. Like it just took it's got really difficult aspects too, but because they're optional, they can kind of have a bit more fun with the shit and make it really
Mm.
intense. And I feel like it really caters to everyone in that way too. Um,
The step up feels like it comes pretty
it's
early as well. Like the first world, I guess, is very traditional and like, hey, like it is what you expect it to be, introduction to the systems, all that. But then the second world, it's like, okay, now we're really going to encourage you to kind of explore and start looking for those hidden areas and those hidden seeds. Like that happens
even
almost immediately.
the subtle design things that they do, like they might introduce a new enemy or a new power up or something,
Yeah,
or like a new interactable in the level, and they'll do it at the beginning of the level in a really simple way. So you kind of it really quickly and smartly like establishes the rules for whatever you're about to experience in that level,
yeah,
and then it just chucks the rest of the level at you, and you kind of have already learnt it. Like it doesn't tutorialize you by holding your hand. It
yeah.
kind of just walks you through it, but
And that's where
not
I'll say,
you
like, be
don't realize it.
careful if you only play this game co-op. Like,
Yeah,
especially if
yeah.
you've not got people kind of in the same mentality as you are trying to like, if you're trying to complete this thing, I feel like it's pretty hard to do in a co-op sort of setting because very quickly, like, someone will just like kill an enemy that you might actually need to kind of unlock part of the stage that you need to access. So things like that. I mean, that's kind of the fun and chaos of co-op, I suppose. But I feel like I'm only gonna 100% this like away behind closed
I
doors.
think I think the co-op is quite different. I don't know, like if you're aware or not, you, but in the old co-ops, you could actually pick each other up and throw each other and stuff.
Yeah,
And a lot of people like miss that. I've heard a lot of people say they miss that from the old games, but in my experience, all that meant was people would just pick you up and throw you off the like edges and shit. Like it just people just became stupid,
yeah,
and like I don't really miss that. And you would also collide with each other. So if you were trying to get this perfect jump and somebody was jumping at the same time, you'd bang into each other and then just both fall and die. Like, that to me wasn't as fun, and that's why I don't think I ever got into the old games as much multiplayer.
yeah.
Um, but I played 3/4 of Wonder with somebody else, and it was really really like it worked well.
Mm.
I would actually probably argue it'd be harder if you played solo as well, because obviously if you die in solo, but with co-op, you kind of have that 5 second revival
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
option, so it
yeah.
makes it a little bit easier. But it still gets pretty tough. Um, and then I think like the other thing I probably really want to touch on is like it's really good looking. Like it's the animations. It's
Mm.
like super vibrant. It's very like even just the way that Mario jumps down a pipe, compared to say the old games.
Yeah.
Um, very very like colorful, expressive, or even of the characters, like the way they look at you when you're about to jump on them or something, like their eyes might widen and stuff. They know they're about to die. Like it's really cool. Like that, those little touches.
Yeah, there's so much more detail in
Yeah,
the stages. Again, like only in the small portion of the game that I've played, but yeah, there's like things kind of talking to you and interacting with you in the landscape. I quite like the kind of emote system they've got in there. I guess it's kind of very much angled towards the cooperative, but it just kind of feels even like the characters you're playing are that much more expressive and each have their own kind of personalities and stuff on show too. I think that really makes it stand out for me. Um, in comparison to the handful of others that I've played. Um,
I
and that's even without kind of getting into all the weird and wonderful things that happen as soon as you pick up a Wonder Seed as well.
I just had a random thought. I've been thinking this for a while as well. How like kind of Super Mario Maker 2, they kind of just it's dead. Like I don't even think they added like the remaining slots that they had that people thought they were going to. Like I don't know if we'll see this added to 2 now, but like it'd be cool to see a lot of this stuff added to like another Super Mario Maker. Like a lot of that stuff we were just talking about. that they've incorporated into Wonder Seeds. Like that'd make for a really cool sandboxy type experience in the next game if they do another one. So that's exciting.
Do you mean like bring the functionality of this game into Mario Maker, or just like bring it over to the next Mario Maker? Or
I don't think they're going to add it into 2
Yeah,
now, like as much as they probably could or should. And I think there's enough in this one that they could probably justify doing a new one.
yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of a weird series, Mario Maker, to be honest. I feel like the first one was really popular, and I don't know if the second one had the impact it should have given the Switch's sales. But maybe
the second one was a Wii U game first, remember, and then got ported to Switch later.
Was it? I honestly don't even remember that.
So there was no Steam.
I
guess,
yeah.
'cause it was...
I think I would have guessed that the Wii U predated it, but there you go.
No. Wait. Now you're confused. Now
I think you're wrong.
You've
think you're wrong.
No, I'm definitely not. 2 seconds.
I wouldn't trust my
my
memory.
I wasn't going to correct you just because I didn't want.
Because I had Mario.
But
Oh wow, they look really
you
similar.
did it for me.
No, that's cool. Yeah, no, I am wrong. Fine, whatever. You can all go.
I'm gonna timestamp this.
Wow.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm. That's kind of to
Well,
my
then
point.
Shannon
Though. It
is
feels
correct.
like they were the same
Yep.
game. To be honest.
Yeah.
Are we awarding
Yeah,
him the
yeah.
point
Said-
in what the wiki?
Yeah, please. Yeah,
mean,
I
it
don't
was
know.
8
Mario's in such a cool place at the moment. Like the movie was obviously massive and bigger than anyone expected.
Yeah.
I just want to see more of it. Like I do wish that Odyssey got DLC and they like. I don't know.
So
I don't know.
hear me out.
To
I
be
want to
honest,
see a
though,
Mario game in which it's all real time
With guns.
combat and Mario wields a machine gun.
Yeah, well,
Could happen.
yeah.
Anything is
you
possible.
never know. He's done a lot.
They'll add his character into
I'm
Fortnite
like-
and then that'll happen. Maybe. No, I'm sure Nintendo
Uh,
will allow that to happen.
Nah. Mortal Kombat instead or something.
Oh god. Oof.
That'd be
It's
fun.
even worse.
Yeah, but it is really good. I struggle to find much wrong with it, obviously. And I hope that you guys get to the end because there are some really cool surprises. And Nintendo was really like I think they were quite smart in what they hid. A lot of the stuff in terms of the way the Wonder Flowers work. So and they've done it for a reason. So definitely try and do it all before you get spoiled. For sure.
Will do. James, have you played much Spider-Man 2?
No.
No. Okay.
Mm,
You should.
why?
It's very.
I'm very enthralled with it. I played like
I mean, that
15
doesn't
hours of it over
surprise
the
me.
weekend.
Oh, no, you didn't
which
like
is
the
hard
first
for me
one,
to
though,
do
did you?
nowadays, but I made every exception. No, I thought the first one was like a solid 8 out of 10. Like a high 8 out of 10. But
How does this feel now for you?
I think this is better than the last one.
I mean, I hope so.
I still don't think it quite like tells as impactful a story as I would like, but it gets mighty close. I'll say that. I'm really enjoying
Ooh.
it.
Yeah.
This game
it's
is
good.
this year is nuts for like game of the year contenders. I don't know how the hell we're gonna shake it out when that time comes.
I have an idea.
Nah, there is a lot. There, yeah,
No, there's a lot of
just
games.
a lot happening.
There's going to be games that deserve a look in that just don't get one at all. Like, well, we should have the Game Award nominations pretty soon. I think maybe that's going to be a topic next week's show, the week after thereabouts. But like, I figured that list of 5, 6 kind of Game of the Year nominees is going to omit some games that people are going to be very unhappy about.
Is the
But that's
category
just the way
like
it
that?
is this year.
Is the category like 5 games? Like it can't just be.
Well,
Lots
it's usually about
if they
that. Isn't
tie.
it like 5 or 6?
Okay,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think so.
That's
I think it's
limited.
5 or 6. But like, yeah, even just putting it down to that, like you could name 5 games that are like somewhat deserving in the
Yeah.
last month. that are, like,
RE4
going
remake.
back to the
That's
start
like one
the
of
year.
my favorite games this year, but I don't know if that's going to make the cut. As an example.
Yeah.
Hopefully it manages to sneak in.
Starfield. I
Speaking
forgot
of
about that.
sneaking, shut up, Shannon. Speaking of sneaking, let's talk about Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1.
It doesn't count as a segue if you say
if
both
I did it,
parts.
yeah.
Yeah,
but I-
you set it up.
Yeah, but in my mind, it was separated. Like, I didn't plan that. So that surely still
I'm not going to
counts.
fault James and his technique there. I'm fairly sure that's something I've done before.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So obviously, Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 released this week. It is a package and a half, I guess. So you've got. It includes the first 3 Metal Gear Solid games plus the original 2 from back in the day.
What's the
Like the
half?
80s and shit. I guess there's 2 games included that aren't part of the story. So they're included as because do you know this is an interesting story? I
Okay.
promise. I'm just gonna tell you both now. So basically, like the first Metal Gear came out,
Uh-huh.
and it did well. So Konami was told another company to kind of port it to the NES, like the Nintendo.
Yeah.
And that company did like a really not a shit job, but they made a lot of creative changes because the hardware was worse than PC.
Whoa, that's blasphemous.
Yeah, so Kojima was like, "What the hell? What are they doing?" And then that same company made a second game on NES, and it was like very bad. Like it was nothing like Metal Gear. So
Hmm.
Kojima was like, "What the fuck is this? I'm going to show them how to make a sequel." He was never planning to make a sequel to Metal Gear, so then he did, and now we have those games. Like, and that's kind of like the shitty NES port of Metal Gear inspired the creation of the rest of the series, basically.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've never heard that story before. That's incredible.
that doesn't surprise me, but like it is.
So, are all of these games in this collection then? Because I was making a
Yes,
joke.
so
You said it
even
was a
the
package and a half, and I was like, what's the half?
well, the
But
half is like these games that don't really they're not in the canon, but they're different enough to be included, I guess.
yeah.
Um so anyway, yeah, I think and I said it in my review. I said Metal Gear, I feel like it's a very big series. Like a lot of people have some fondness for it or some memory with it. But despite that, like you can't really play the whole series anywhere. Like MGS4 is still stuck on PS3. Until now, MGS1 was only stuck on PlayStation. I think all of them you can play it. You could play it through the classics and stuff, but that was it. Um, so I guess the idea is to bring it all together with Master Collection.
Do we think that's definitely going to happen in the next one? Do we think 4 will come?
I don't know. What do you think? Like,
I think it'd
I
be
feel
more
like,
work to do that, and I don't know if they are
well, technically, like
keen on work.
when you think about, yeah, oh wow, yeah,
That's
like
the truth.
5 and Peace Walker are like done. You could just like
Yeah,
press the port button and they'll be on your console in no time.
Hmm.
Um, so I feel like they could maybe touch up
they
4.
kind of have to, right?
I
Like they
feel like
can't
yeah, they
just
can't. It
skip
ends
it.
the story of Snake. Like, yeah.
Right.
So anyway, just quickly talking about this though. Obviously, it is like more of a port than a remaster, I would say. MGS1 runs just like the PS1 version did.
Yeah.
Like I think it's probably about the same as if you played it on the mini PlayStation. I think that's where you played it, Ewan, from memory.
Hmm.
Or even like the PS4, PS1 version. Um, it is the same. There's not a lot done to it on a technical level. But they have wrapped them up in these super schmick menus with these great like books that kind of go through the whole storyline and like kind of tie everything in and all that. And some of these books are big. Like some of them are like 50 to 80 pages. Like there's a lot of like cool supplementary content in there. Um, but like I don't know, like I don't know what you guys think or not, but I do wonder like the recommended retail is about 99.95 Australian. Do you think that's asking too much?
Um. Yes. I. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Because
yeah.
I don't quite know how to justify it though. Other than I guess like I've played the original somewhat recently, and I feel like um it was a bit tedious in having to get the PlayStation Classic, like that mini thing that they put out. But other than that, like reasonably accessible, I would say. And then we've got the remake of 3 like just around the corner, right? Which
Hmm.
I feel like I'd much rather wait for that than play this. So I think it would only really be if I was like having a hankering to play like a ported version of 2, which maybe I should. Like maybe like I haven't. Like my Metal Gear history is just 5 and then the original. So maybe maybe James, you tell me actually the second is incredible and you should fork out the $90 to play it. Otherwise, I would kind of much rather stick around and play three with a more modern take on that game.
It is probably worth mentioning you can buy these games individually.
Right. Okay. Well then,
Yeah, so like
yeah,
if you
that would
wanted
be
to
the
buy
play.
just two, you can. I think if you do that though, you miss out on the like the graphic novel of each of them. But like that's probably not a big deal if you're playing the game
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you
But
can
for
you
the
can do
diehard
that, and
fans, excellent. But for me, no,
yeah, yeah,
I'm not fussy.
you can do that, and I do recommend you play two. It is genuinely like astounding. When
Yeah.
that game came out, everyone was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like the story just made no sense. But now, like it makes more sense than ever. Like it's a bizarrely, like forward thinking story. And the game itself is obviously good too. But
Yeah.
like the first game broke the fourth wall, like kind of, but this one just like goes like full ham. Um,
I think that's
and
why
yeah,
I enjoyed, like certainly playing the first one. What I enjoyed most about it was like kind of the themes and dealing with like environmentalism and like global conflict. Like I thought that was kind of really interesting, particularly like unfortunately history repeats itself, and we're kind of in a state where that sort of commentary is still pretty apt to the situation today. Um, but yeah, also just like Kojima's kind of when it comes to switching the controller to the second port in order for I'm blanking on the Psychomantis to not
Psychomantis.
predict like zany things like that I love. So if two is more of that, then yeah, I would like to experience it.
Yeah, I think you do hit like it's really fun, and it plays a lot to if you've played one, like
Hmm.
it's purposefully structured like one, but for a good reason. Like it's really weird it's hard to explain without like ruining the whole plot.
Yeah.
But I do recommend it for sure. Like there's no all these games. I feel like all the Metal Gear games. There's just no, and that's why my score was probably a little bit. I mean, I'm a little bit higher than most, maybe, but like I do feel like these games are still very good. And there's no game that tells a story the way that these games do.
Yeah.
Um, and to revisit them all like this, this week and last week, and just re-experience them all and still be interested in them, even though I've played them a million times. Like there's
Yeah.
something about them.
Are there
Um,
any like noticeable quality of life improvements, or they play exactly the same way? It really is just like a one for
they
one
play the
port.
same.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so MGS1 is literally like it's an emulator running a PS1 copy of the game.
Yeah.
They've kind of gone in and changed the text for any like button prompts, but like the voice work is still the same.
Right.
Which like I mean that's reasonable. I don't expect them to get people to come back in to say the plus button instead of start on Switch.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
I feel like expecting the
Or
voice
like
people to come
redo
back into
audio and sound effects and stuff like that. Like it all
yeah,
sounds the
like I
same.
don't,
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but the MGS 2 and 3 ports they run at 1080p now, which is better than 720p than
Yeah.
they did on the old consoles. But overall, they've still just as good as they were before. They were Bluepoint remasters, and that they speak for themselves when it comes to
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I have seen people say like, but if you already own them on Xbox, you can play them on backwards compatibility. And yes, that's absolutely true. But I feel like that's such a small use case compared to the rest of the world and
Mm.
population. Like, this is still the most convenient and easiest way to
Let me
get all of
blow
these
the
games.
dust off my Xbox controller. Am I right? God
Oh, shut
forbid.
up, Ewan. You big dumbass. You're so stupid. I hate you so much. But no. But yeah, do you know what? Like, I don't know if I don't know if though like those 2 points are you know reason enough to shit on this. Like,
Yeah.
there are things I wish they could have done. They absolutely could have upped the res of MGS1 or maybe included the PC version, given that every other version of the game is included.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've always said like preservation is good. Like I've always wanted to tell my friends to go and play this game, but then I have to tell them to buy 4 different consoles. You know what I mean? Like you can just
Yeah.
go to one place and buy it all now,
Yeah.
which I think is exciting. And I don't know what Metal Gear looks like without Kojima moving forward. But I mean, if Metal Gear can keep going, I think that would be cool too.
Mm.
But they'd have to. Yeah, I do wonder what their strategy is with Metal Gear. Like, going forward, like after the remakes are done or whatever, like, can they make another one without him? I don't know if it would be the same.
Yeah.
I mean, we can look at Metal Gear Survive, but like,
It's
I mean, a proper
kind of a
game.
pity Kojima doesn't have like a protege kind of like following in his footsteps, like a kind of J.J. Abrams to Steven Spielberg sort of scenario, which is not the best of examples to provide, I get, but like if there
He
I mean,
was,
must though. Like there
to
must
be,
be people like that.
I
you'd
don't
hope
know,
so.
because
Not
even
someone like
I know, like
visible, but
at Tango Gameworks, there's a lot of people who Mikami was like kind of training up to be like his next, the guy who made Resident Evil and Evil Within and stuff. Like he trained a lot of people up to kind of be his replacement, and one of them is John Johannes, who obviously did Evil Within 2 and Hi-Fi Rush. Like I think that exists, but I don't think Kojima has that. I agree.
yeah,
It's so
like
much of it is in his crazy brain. I don't know if you could
Yeah, I think so
palm
much
that
of
off to
Yeah.
Kojima's
someone.
brand is like so much down to him, like as a
that's the thing.
person.
I don't think it would be
Um,
someone that like worked at one of his studios and kind of extended the ranks or something. I feel like it would be him bringing in someone from the outside. It's like, you think the way I do, let me teach you how to make games, that kind of thing. Um, like he's got a bunch of collaborators that he clearly kind of has some sort of like
I think, yeah,
resonance with, but they're not making games as well.
I think he's a little bit obsessed with Hollywood now, though. Like maybe
Yeah,
a bit too much
yeah.
in a way. Yeah.
Well, he's
I
a
just see
fan, right? Like that kind of makes
Yeah,
sense. That
yeah.
he's these doors are open for him now, so he's taking an opportunity to meet
I
people
feel
that he
like
admires.
Death Stranding 2 must be soon. Just on a side note, we haven't heard about that in a year or so. That must be coming up.
No, thanks for that.
Maybe Game Awards.
Who
Maybe
knows? Yeah,
him and
He was
Jeff, they are
yeah,
friends.
always.
So
Absolutely. Maybe
I'm
it's a
looking at
co-op
these
game now.
prices of these standalone games, by the way, James, and I feel like it kind of breaks down a little bit further there as well because they're all $30 each. So like, Solid the Collection, I guess, is looking like a bit of a bundle deal, but charging $30 for the first one at this point.
30 Australian.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just
There's
on
a lot
the
of content
PlayStation
there
Store.
though. That's including. So when you buy the first game, I mean, I don't know. I'm not making excuses, but just to put it out there, the first game when you buy it, you get the first two games, like those old ones I was talking about.
Right, okay.
You get Metal Gear Solid, and you get
Uh,
the two VR mission expansions. And but that for story purposes, they don't matter. So I know what you mean. Like it
yeah.
probably is a bit much, but then the other two games, like I think 2 and 3 for $30, that's very reasonable
Yeah. Yeah. I think
because
that's
they're yeah.
I don't know. I've just kind of got it in my head that like the first one's kind of been available a whole bunch, but perhaps it's not been, and it's yeah. And you're right. That the extra two in there makes it a bit more worthwhile.
It has been on PlayStation like since the beginning of time. Like
Yeah. Okay.
obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for people who are on Switch or Xbox, I guess it hasn't. So
Yeah.
welcome.
yeah, yeah. Half the frame rate on Switch. Welcome.
Wonder
Probably used to that.
looks great, particularly handheld.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Hopefully.
Did you want me to set up a segue
hopefully-
for you of some kind? Or
Yeah, I thought you would,
What's-
but it's
what's the
fine. But
next
hopefully
topic?
the wonders will continue with Switch 2.
Speaking of Bowser,
Yeah, we didn't even speak of him. Nintendo's Doug Bowser has seemingly talked about backwards compatibility for Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch follow-up, we should call it. Obviously, coming off the back of the Switch selling like 130 million units, people are obviously wondering if the new Switch, will be backwards compatible with, the new one, or the old one. Sorry. I was in an interview with somebody. I didn't read that bit; it wasn't important. But he said, "I apologize." He said in response to that. Well, first, I can't comment, or I won't comment, but I should say on the rumors that are out there that one thing we've done with the Switch is to help with the communication and transition. Is the formation of the Nintendo account. In the past, every device we've had has transitioned to a whole new account system. With Switch, we've had the Nintendo account system, which will allow us to communicate with our players if and when we make a transition to a new platform to help ease that process. So obviously, with that quote, pretty good, I guess. I mean, I'm not one to praise them for doing what every other platform's been doing for the last two generations, but it is pretty good. to hear them say that. I guess coming off that quote, like, do we think that the Switch 2 will be backwards compatible? And should it be backwards compatible?
Yes,
That's something
and
that I
absolutely.
Yeah. I think it will be, but I think, as I've said on another episode, like, I do think this is going to put Nintendo in a weird spot, in the sense that, like, all of the games from
they
last
can't
gen are
just
going to be
port shit.
playable. Well, yeah, like, which has made a big bulk of their library. Like, even when you look at the virtual console stuff, I can't even remember what that's called now. Like, if that all just comes across to the new Switch, like, that's such a big part of, like, their weekly marketing beats, and has been, like, since the Wii and DS, right? Like, those slow drops of games over 10 years, 5 years, whatever it is. So if they bring all of that across, like, that is a big chunk of their library that, like, is filled, and their release
Yeah,
is filled. So
I think
it's going to be different for them.
I think they'll mitigate that somewhat by opening up stronger third-party support with the next generation, though. Like, I think we'll kind of see a step up in console performance that makes it a better platform to bring games to, which should help them kind of ease out the rollout of their games, I think. But also, like, they would I be crazy to think that, like, their rigor of releasing games has stepped up a little bit? I mean, even the latter half of this year, to have Super Mario RPG and Wonder kind of like landing within, what is it, a month of each other, that kind of thing, like that,
RPGs, like,
To be honest,
all the
it's like
same,
a
that,
re
like
like,
that
it's the
that
same game. Like,
exudes
it's
some
still what we're
confidence
talking
that
about to a
they
point.
can deliver, right? Like, hopefully,
I think they just had a bad year last year and they've had a really good year this year. So I feel like their games were making a lot more noise this year.
Mm.
But yeah, I still do think it feels like it's running out of steam a bit. Like, looking at the games they've announced that are coming, you know. Um, hmm,
Yeah. I think part of it is, like we were just talking about, like Luigi's Mansion, Super Mario RPG. There's like 2 or 3 others
Mario
that are
versus Donkey
coming.
Kong.
Yeah, like those
the
types of
Princess
games are just,
Peach
like, padding out
game.
these last
Yeah.
few months. Princess Peach is a new one, so they get that.
That's a win. They get 1 point.
That's
from
a
us,
win for them.
from our
But you're
panel.
right. Maybe you're right, you, and maybe a part of this has just been them getting used to the bigger production. And COVID played a part in that as well. Like, I think
Yeah.
it hit Japan quite hard, with how strict it was over there. And Nintendo have, like, been really good with crunch and that kind of thing. So that played a part in it, definitely. So maybe they will step it up. I think it's a good thing. Like, if they do step it up, like, that's going to be beneficial for everyone. And I don't doubt we'll still see these remasters and remakes for some of their older games. I just think there was probably, 10 to 15 Wii U games that got ported to the Switch that felt
But
like new games.
And I think that's a
that they won't
unique,
have.
unique situation there, right? Because the take up
It
on the Wii U
is.
was not high, but there were quality games there for the most part.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah,
Yeah, I'm not saying they. Yeah, I'm not saying they weren't good games that people didn't and there was no way to port them. Well, it wasn't backwards compatible, so, like, they had to do that.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. I think you're right. Third party, if that does happen, will. I don't. It's hard for me to know. Like
Of course,
it's always been a part of Nintendo. Like I was saying, Virtual
not
Console.
asking
Like,
you
it is
to predict with,
ridiculous
like,
that
100%
you were.
accuracy.
But do you know what I mean? Like, Virtual Console, it is insane that you had to buy those games over and over again every generation. Like, not only did you have to buy them, it took 5 years to get
No,
a
I
library
agree.
that was half as decent.
100%.
Like, I think it was even not as decent on the Wii U and the 3DS as it was on the previous gen. Like, that's just been a part of their strategy. Like, they literally wipe the slate clean and start fresh.
and there's still further that they could go with, like, the online functionality
100%.
and what games are available with that.
It's
So
still insanely
like,
slow. Like, it's
yeah.
ridiculous.
yeah, which I'm sure is strategic. Like, I reckon they've been planning for this continuation since the launch of the Switch, and the next Switch we'll see will be it will be that another Switch.
I hope that you're right. Still don't think that's, like, an incredible. It's an annoying strategy, to be honest.
I know, but then I think with Virtual Console in particular, like, moving their libraries to the subscriptions means that they don't want to put everything out there straight away.
Yeah, true.
Because then you keep people subscribed. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's the key difference with
It's
the
just
Switch
how
versus
the
everywhere
business
else.
operates, right? Like,
But also, like, I think it's in their best interest, say with new Switch, you have this massive library to entice people to sign up if they haven't already when they buy a new Switch. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you still want to,
Yeah.
and that's why I think maybe
There
all these
probably will
ports
be
and
a big
remasters are
content
happening
drop, but
because you're getting all these games onto this Switch
And
ecosystem ready to go to Switch 2 as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you've got
I
this massive library that people can buy because
I
Nintendo
think
games
we'll
are more
see
evergreen
them.
than
Yeah.
any others. Like
I think we'll see them pivot to another tier, and then like the old Switch games will start to come to this service as well. Well, that's what I think they will do and should do.
yeah.
And that is the benefit of having it being backwards compatible as well. Like you've got all of those games that you can start to add to this online service or a budget line or whatever it is.
Do we think like rather than it be a like a Switch Pro or something, like is it gonna be a Switch 2 and we'll see development of like Switch games gradually wrap up and stuff will be made dedicated for the Switch 2
I think they
or
have to,
yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
Like you because they can't be like this is a Switch Pro, but then like say I don't know, there's a port of I was going to say Mortal Kombat 1, but that's happened, but not really. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying like a next gen only game, like a big like next gen only game.
Yeah.
But then you can't be like, oh, but these Switch people can't. That just I don't know. I feel like that gets confusing
Yeah.
for customers. But Nintendo
Yeah,
have
it
done that
does.
before as well. I know it
Oh,
didn't work that like the new 3DS
yeah.
XL. I think
Yeah.
Minecraft and
And the
Xenoblade
Wii U.
only worked. Yeah, like the
Yeah.
Wii U was the worst because that was
But
Blurring those lines is
they
really hard.
the reason why this has taken so long is because they know, like, they saw the Wii, which was like the most successful console of all time, and then the Wii U, which was one of the greatest failures of all time. Like, yeah, it's not a guarantee that you're going to get it right with this next console just because of confusion and things like that. So
Yeah.
they would like they knew that they had to get their timing right, and B, like the branding is going to be everything. Like if it's, I don't know what they're going to do in terms of like if they call it Switch 2, then people will get confused. If they call it something totally different, people are going to get confused. Like there is such a fine line there with how they brand it. Yeah, I think yeah, they've turned so many people into gamers again with the Switch. So I think I can't see it failing, but I do still think that like they would have put a lot more thought into this and focus testing and things like that than they would have ever before with how the Wii U went. It's going to be interesting to see. I can't wait.
Mm.
It's been such
Do
a
we
long time.
Yeah. Do we think that there will be a like? Do you think there'll be backwards compatibility with physical games? Can you see
Oh.
that happening?
I think so. I think they
Yeah.
have to if they're going to do it. Unless it's for technical
little
reasons.
cartridges
I don't
still.
know, the cart limitations. I feel like Tears of the Kingdom had the first bigger cart, or some game in
think-
the recent memory had a bigger cart.
I think that like I think about. No, I think The Witcher had the biggest one, maybe.
Okay.
But I think about like when the DS first came out, like the very first ones, and there was that Game Boy Advance slot underneath. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something they would ever do again. Like maybe they've got new media plus like a second slot.
Yeah.
But then I don't know, like on a technical level, how much that how that affects the console. Do you know what I mean? Like the motherboard and stuff.
Yeah.
Like having a whole
Maybe it could be
port
one of
just
those
for-
like combined
backwards.
slots, like the SD card slot inside. Of,
Oh
like
yeah,
a
like a
bigger-
chunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they did with DS. Like the old DS fit in,
What's-
but the 3DS fit in bigger.
This might be a dumb question, but it's not something I've ever really considered up until now. What is actually on the cart, like on the cartridge? Is it just a memory card? Is that all it is? And it includes game data or your save data
What do
is
you
stored
mean?
on it? Like,
It's proprietary.
Save
I
data's
don't
on the
know.
save
On the
data's on the
console.
console.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what's on the cartridge?
The game.
The
So
game, mate.
it's just a piece of memory. It's just a proprietary memory card,
Yeah.
basically.
Like a
I think
Game
so.
Boy game. Remember Game Boy games?
So how many times?
He wouldn't.
He
But
wouldn't,
like,
yeah.
how many times do you
wow.
plug in because I don't play the Switch a lot, so I don't really pay much attention to what happens when I do. But like when
I
you
mean,
put
when
the
you're asking
cartridge
what's on the
in,
cartridges,
like
I
how
assume
much
you've not
of a
played it once.
download do you need to do as well?
Well, this is one thing that I think that they need to get right is they need to somehow make their cartridges less expensive. Because Yui, some games like most first party games will work straight out the bat. But with Metal Gear Solid that just came out this week,
Yeah.
you chuck that cartridge in, you have to do an update. It's free, but you do an update that downloads the 40 gigs of Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 onto the system for you.
Yeah.
And
So
that's a
that
size
cart-
thing, isn't it? Again.
Yeah, well, that's a mix. Like you can get bigger cartridges because, as we've seen, like CD Projekt Red kind of like coughed up the money to have bigger carts, but a lot of developers don't want to do that, especially with sports games like NBA and FIFA where they're sent out super hot. The game will come in and then you've got to do a 20 gig download on top of that because
Yeah.
no one wants to really optimize, and it's cheaper for them too. Um, I do think Nintendo needs to sort that out because a lot of people are buying physical games, but then those games don't actually have the games on the chips,
Yeah.
Like this Metal Gear one this week is like crazy to think that only those old NES ones like are on the cartridge, but Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 aren't,
Yeah.
When you're paying $100 for that,
Yeah. You're paying but I mean, that's happening the PlayStation, Xbox and side of things. You buy a disc and it's
yeah,
a
okay,
DRM key.
that is a very good point.
That's all it is.
You are right.
I
is
wonder if
true.
they just need to pivot that way. It's like, well,
I just
you can
think-
still buy
I
things
think
physically, but it's really just
I think it's less of an issue now than it was 5 years ago when they were doing it, is probably what Ewan is trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't
No,
an issue
I
then, it
think-
probably isn't now.
I think the optics though of like the Switch is like a handheld console. Like let's say you go out and you've just bought this new game or you're traveling or something and you chuck that into your Switch and it's got nothing
Yeah.
on it. Like I
Yeah.
feel like that's the difference. Like at least when you're home, like you've got internet and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I think that is the key difference there.
Yeah. At this point, I guess what I'm saying is they don't need to change the cartridge. Like, surely with that as a form factor, forevermore, they can step up the size of data, like the amount of data that's included in there. And the instances that they can't, you just download the rest.
In saying this, yeah, I think they're going to have to, because like if they do go, if it's going to be 4K, like that immediately ups
Of course.
how much.
Well,
these
at the
games are gonna
moment,
be
the
in size.
highest size Switch card available to developers is 64 gig.
Yeah, so it's not.
That's pretty
but
big.
That's probably very rare, right? That someone's coughing up money for that. But it must be getting cheaper, and the quantity that they're ordering like must be insane. So, yeah, I don't. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't think it's going to change though. I think that would be a mistake if it does change. So I think they would be avoiding that at all costs.
I mean, I guess they would want to distinguish them somehow, so you don't go into the store and pick up a cartridge that isn't going to run on your original Switch. But I imagine that will be like a color change or something like that. They'll
Well,
want to
with
make sure the old
3DS,
cartridge is still
what they
inserted
did
in the new
was-
console.
3DS had that little plastic like notch on the end, so if you tried to put it
Yeah.
into an
Couldn't put
old
it in.
console, it wouldn't physically go in.
Yeah,
Oh God,
clever.
I don't know if they're going to leave. I think some games are going to be both. I can't see them leaving behind that install base for some games, but we'll see.
I feel
I
like
don't know.
the Switch people like talk about them like they're
yeah.
some
I
tribe.
think they
Switch
will.
people.
I think they
But a
will.
lot of them
Shannon,
buy
but they'll be in
physical
two
more
different
so.
boxes, like a normal like a PS4 to PS5 transition. Like you have games that come
Yeah.
out on both, but they're packaged differently. I think it'll be exactly the same.
Probably. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I feel like we've been talking about this for 3 years, and I've never been more unclear about what this is going to look
We
like.
just need
than I am
modular
now.
consoles already. Like you buy your one box, it's plain, it's black, it's rectangular, and you get your new. I've got the game unit 3000, and that slots in there and upgrades the whole console. And you go and give your old game unit to your brother, and it just passes down forevermore. Like that's how it should be, They should put the extra power in the Joy-Cons, and you buy new Joy-Cons and just click them onto your Switch.
Slap them on.
Yeah.
But then, how fucking heavy and hot are those Joy-Cons gonna be?
They're like super meaty Joy-Cons as well.
Yeah, like,
like air intake fans and everything.
well, that's the future you want.
Yeah. Will they support old Joy-Cons? Will it have the same rails and stuff?
I
That's
feel
another
like
question.
that's actually one thing. I mean, we're talking like way off topic, but like I think the Joy-Cons are like kind of shit. Like the build quality, the
Yeah.
stick
The stick
drift, like
drift,
they're
ugh.
very
Yeah.
small and flimsy and
Yeah.
and poo.
I
like
think-
I don't know.
I think-
like
I was gonna say I think they'll 100% stick with them, but I don't know. Do people use them how they did initially in like that sideways mode? I feel like I haven't done that, and a lot of people
I did on the weekend.
don't. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think they'll keep them. They'll just improve them. a lot.
Hmm.
When do we just lastly like? Do we think this is going to be early next year, or are we thinking like holiday now?
I think holiday next year. I think reveal early in the year.
Yeah,
They they wouldn't reveal before Peach is out, right? I know that's not like a big seller,
Yeah.
but do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you do you want
I
your
don't
slate to
know.
be
The
clear?
last one had such a small announced to release. It was like January and then March. So
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
what I
like,
was
and
just
I guess
toying
that's
with.
what
Are
we
they
saw
going to
with
do
next
that
gen as
again?
well.
Or...
But did stuff leak?
Exciting! I feel like it could be any time now. My body is ready.
Always. There'll be a tech time with Shannon almost every week.
Every
Won't
day
there?
we'll need to break it
Yeah, we'll
down.
have a daily updates.
When
Yeah,
we finally get this announcement
absolutely.
after 4 years of speculation,
Mm,
we'll be waiting.
mm, absolutely. Speaking of waiting, we'll just quickly move on to Assassin's Creed. I don't know what that has to do with waiting, but we'll go with it. Um, Ubisoft's had an accident again, and they've leaked everywhere. Now there's there's pictures of their new protagonist all over the internet. So obviously this one will probably be quickish with, because I don't feel like there's a lot we can talk about here. But one of the Assassin's Creed writers, specifically one of the ones who was working on Codename Red, has accidentally updated the banner image on their LinkedIn profile with a picture of the new character from Assassin's Creed Codename Red. Um, I should probably be clear. We don't know 100% that that's who it is, but given the coloring, the silhouette compared to the trailer and the logos and stuff, pretty sure that's what it is. Um, the rumors, obviously, just to recap, suggest that the character is a female samurai, and they will be joined by another male playable character who is an African refugee who has turned into a shinobi after having learned the way of the creed. Um, I guess my question, like just quickly with this one, is: do you guys think that this means that Codename Red is the next Assassin's game, given that we've got like these assets kind of created? Like,
um,
I
remind
think
me
so.
again how many Assassin's Creed games are on the way? Because there's
so there's three. So there's Codename Jade,
Yeah.
or Jade. I think it's just called Jade now. That's set in China, and that's just mobile.
yes,
There's this one, Codename Red. So this is obviously set in Japan,
Yeah.
and it's made by the Quebec team who
Yeah.
made Odyssey.
Yeah.
And then this is meant to be more stealthy. And then there's Codename Hex, which is made by Clint Hocking's team, who did like Watch Dogs and Far Cry 2, Watch
Witchy
Dogs
poo.
Legion.
Yeah.
And that's about the Holy Roman Empire and the witch hunts that occurred there.
Yeah.
So that's the three main ones that we are aware of. Plus
Yeah,
the
I think
shitty VR one.
Oh, that's rude.
Put your fingers down, Ewan.
Yeah,
and
this is
Assassin's
definitely
Creed
the next
Infinity is really just the service that like stitches them all together.
Well, I don't know
right?
if that's still a thing or not, is it? But that I think that
Yeah.
Red was meant to be the first step in creating Infinity, which is meant to be like a platform for assassins. But we don't know. But we won't talk about that because it's like could be anything. But yeah, that's a quick recap of what's coming.
Look, in my mind, I had it that Hex was going to be the next one, and I don't know why that was.
I'm more interested in Hex than this, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Which I wouldn't be if I hadn't played Ghost of Tsushima.
You're gonna say something about Ghost of Tsushima. I knew
Literally,
it.
like,
Yeah.
and I honestly reckon that might well have changed things for them at Ubisoft. Like the arrival of that game, like it's immediately going to draw comparisons. So they want to make sure that they build upon what that game did so well, for the next one, but probably get it out before the next Ghost of Tsushima game as well. So yeah,
Do you think it's too soon after Mirage?
To put it out next year?
Yeah,
No.
that's the current rumor.
I don't think so. No. Mirage was always a more like focused experience. It was I don't want to say like a space filler because that's not doing it justice, I don't think, but
I know what you mean though. Like it started off as an expansion and quickly became
yeah.
like a not almost a double A game, like
yeah.
in terms of scope and scale.
I think there's two different tracks of Assassin's Creed games now, which, and as there should be, I think like both, like each of them appeal to different cohorts. So yeah, I think we kind of will see a bigger Assassin's Creed game towards the end of next year. But I had it in my mind that it was going to be Hex. Why though? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why either, but it's
That
interesting. I
one,
mean, we got a
maybe that one
teaser for
just
this.
kind of like had greater prominence
Hex
at the
just whatever.
time or something. Like it just, we came away like talking about it more. I felt, but
I think of both the projects, it's more interesting. Like, but and the talent behind it is just a little bit more has a
it's
bit more potential,
why is it less
in my
interesting
opinion.
though?
What Codename Red is less
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
I don't know. Part of me is like excited to be able to play an Assassin's Creed game again where we can climb like tall buildings and like these really well developed cities and stuff like that excites me because
yeah,
I did miss that in Mirage, um, and even Valhalla to a certain degree.
yeah,
Um, but I don't know why this doesn't. I think because Odyssey was so. I loved Odyssey. Like I think it's still of those three games, like Valhalla, Odyssey, and Origins. I think it is my favorite.
yeah,
The world is amazing and stuff. But the way that it leaned into those RPG mechanics so much, like really in retrospect, didn't make like also made me not like it as much as the other ones. So
yeah,
I'm kind of hoping they don't do that here. I hope this is like a Tenchu esque kind of stealth game, but we'll have to wait and see. But I just
yeah,
think like Clint Hocking has made games with like really interesting mechanics, like
yeah,
the way Far Cry 2 worked when that first came out was very unique. And then obviously Legion, I know it didn't resonate with everyone, but that is a very unique like game as
yeah,
well in terms of the underlying mechanics. And that's what excites me is
yeah.
like an Assassin's Creed game that he's leading. Plus it's a cool time in history,
Mm. Yeah,
which is why I
like
prefer the
honestly, I
idea of Hex.
guess the
But
more I
yeah.
think about it, the more I'm excited about both, and I don't mind one way or the other. Going back to the story, I think the leak is really kind of unfortunate. Um, uh, I guess it's kind of just inevitably the case that these Ubisoft games leak in one way or another.
I just don't
But
know
when
how
it's a
this
slip
happened.
up,
I
that's
was saying to
embarrassing.
Shannon, like, how do you just upload a piece of art from a game that hasn't been shown? Like, you're working on the game. Like, it hasn't been shown before. Do you know what I mean? Like, it
Maybe
has
they
to be
selected the
intentional.
wrong image, or but no, you would pick up
Yeah,
on that. I
but
know.
I
but
think
no.
you would maybe, I don't know, you'd have to be like a designer that doesn't have a lot of interest in playing games. I feel like there would be people who do it as a job that aren't hugely in the industry. I know
Yeah.
that sounds weird, but like they just don't understand how big like elite culture and stuff
I mean,
is.
particularly like if it was a profile for one of the game's writers.
Yeah, like
It's not. Yeah, I was just gonna say maybe it was like someone just working on kind of like marketing material or something, but it's not. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. Like it's not just a piece of like concept art or something. Like it looks like key art for like the character.
Yeah,
Not good.
no.
Cancel the game.
I am excited for this game. Like I'm still yet to actually play Mirage. I'm trying to squeeze it in amongst the slate of games, but I think I mentioned maybe on last week's show, like poking around Europe on my travels. I was like, I had a lot of fun playing Assassin's Creed 2, climbing up
mm,
the walls of Florence. Like I kind of I want to delve back into those games, and Mirage was obviously coming at a good time. But yeah, like
I
the
think
history angle of it as well is part of the appeal in these games so far for me. And feudal Japan is not an area that we've really explored much, with Ghost of Tsushima aside, I suppose. So it would be cool to see that brought to life with the Assassin's Creed spin on it, as well.
yeah, I'm keen on that too. I think they make, regardless of the games, they make amazing worlds.
Yeah,
In such short amounts of time as well.
and
So
with
very
like
excited to see
enormous
what they do.
attention to detail and a lot of, I think, appreciation for the kind of history and culture of the time and stuff, right? So
Hmm.
be keen.
Hmm. But we've talked for a very long time, so
We have.
let's start wrapping this up. Well, Shannon hasn't, but me and you have Ewan.
You've really chin wagged.
Thanks
Maybe
for
I should
really
have been
coming to the
segueing
table
it.
this evening. But rapid fire question: Blizzard are giving away a PC that's manufactured using human blood to promote Diablo. I should probably highlight, not just for fun. Would you guys buy something infused with blood?
Human blood specifically, or just any the blood
Do you
of
have
any living
do you have a
thing.
preference? Or, like, is there one you've
I just
had
feel
in
like
mind?
human blood is like particularly gross. You know, like I mean, I'm no stranger to a bit of like pig's blood, but like human blood.
Hmm.
I think
Only
that's what's in
yours,
black pudding,
James.
isn't
I
it?
would be there for it.
The answer is no from me.
My immediate thought is like if I was not sure of a product and one of the key differentiating point was one's made with blood and one's not. If it's like a shoe or something, I wouldn't go for it just because it's made with blood, because I wouldn't really want to tell anyone. But this happened before as well, didn't it? Didn't somebody, a musician, someone had
Yeah, Little
blood
Nas
shoes?
did something like this, didn't he? Wasn't
Yeah.
Didn't Little Nas's Nikes like his that he got sued for because they weren't actually Nikes? Didn't they
Mm.
contain blood or
Is
something?
blood that different to like drinking milk or something? Like, is it?
No, but you're not drinking it. Like, what do you mean? Like,
But that's what I mean. But we do drink
What?
milk. Like, is it that different? Like, when no one's saying you
I
have to
don't
drink the
understand.
blood, it's just I don't
No,
know. Like, it's just a bodily fluid. Like, it's not that disgusting, is it? Like, what makes it
Oh, that's-
disgusting?
Well, I mean,
what?
I guess like any bodily fluid.
I don't want to. So I should. Yeah, you don't have to drink. I didn't talk about eating.
I'm
and
just
drinking
saying we
food.
drink
It was-
milk. When no one's saying you have to drink the blood. Like, what makes it so crazy when we drink milk, both human form
What?
and other animals?
This is such a
And don't
random.
question it.
What?
I mean, I guess if you worked in a hospital, you'd be like, it doesn't. I don't care about blood like circulating around the inside of my PC. That's pretty cool. Like I carry around bags of blood all day.
I don't think the blood's
I
the
guess that's
cooling
what they do in
fluid.
hospitals.
Just
I
to be,
don't
I
know.
don't. Surely it's not like flowing in the PC. I think it's like maybe put into the alloy or something.
Why not?
I
it
thought-
flows in
I
our
thought
bodies and keeps us going.
The thing
Why
about
can't
this
it?
story
Doesn't
was
keep
it
us
was
cool,
like
though.
cooling the PC. Is it not?
No, I don't think. No, that's. I feel like that's a biohazard. If like you've
Well,
got like just raw blood.
Yeah, does
like,
blood like ever absorb, or does it just remain forever?
a total of 666 quarts of blood donations.
I think
Wasn't-
this is. I should
didn't
probably clarify.
at,
This is a cool idea. I feel like it gets everyone talking, but also like it gets people donating blood, which I think is a really cool thing. Something
I
we
mean,
need.
well, donating
can't-
blood
I
for a
can't donate
PC,
blood,
not
so-
for
I know,
people that
yeah,
actually
I-
need it.
That's sad, isn't it?
It's doubtful that the
Yes.
blood is in the liquid cooling, by the way. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. I didn't pay enough
but,
attention to the article.
yeah.
I don't think it's that crazy. Like, I guess it is a little bit.
We're really revealing stuff about ourselves today, aren't we?
We are getting
If it
real
was
deep.
my blood, I'd be okay about it. But I think it's a bit weirder having someone else's blood.
So you would
Because
buy
Shannon's
something
right,
made
like,
with
you
your
cut
own
yourself,
blood.
you decide-
That's very narcissistic.
Not a problem. But it's in you anyway. Like,
You wouldn't
but,
kiss
like-
my boo boo better if it was
but people have different blood types. You shouldn't just be like mixing blood.
contaminating.
Yeah, I agree. That's the
Uh.
idea of blood types.
Anyhow.
Anyway, I don't know what I was expecting.
I don't
with
know
that
either.
rapid
Like,
fire
what did you
question,
expect
but-
to get with
Yeah,
this?
yeah, I don't know. It was a dry week.
The opposite of the
You know what?
PC,
I would
full
take.
of
I'll take
moist
it back.
blood.
I would buy a product if it was infused by blood. And Shannon's like, please end this podcast.
Yeah, like we were done.
There's a company in the UK called Blood Rex, I think, and they do vinyl records that have like kind of a hollow layer in the middle of it where they kind of put liquids and stuff. And I think they've done some with blood before, and they look pretty cool. It could just be red food dye though. I don't need it to be actual blood.
Thanks.
All right, I'm done.
Thanks for that. Anyway, I apologize in advance for that rapid fire. If I'm not hosting next week, you know why. Let's move on to What the Wiki. What the Wiki is the Press Start podcast game show where the previous week's winner reads part of a Wikipedia page for an unknown game, and the contestants must guess the game. A point is awarded for each correct guess, and the round ends after one person scores 2 points. The current lineup is me and Brody are on top at 29. Kieran is on 25, just below us. Then Shannon on 23, Ewan on 21, and then Harry and James W on 1. Should just delete them. There's like no
Should be a
point now.
double pointer, I feel.
Why would it be a double pointer today?
Keep it interesting. Keep you and I in it.
But you're already in it. You're like a few points away.
I
6
think I
and
should be
8.
like given a handicap, given I was away for like 4 weeks.
Okay, whatever. Double points. Let's go.
Top- Let's do
Okay.
it.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The game is set aside from the canon of the main series, being a spoof told by the main protagonist's friend, and follows the story of the main character's gradual transformation into a vampire. The game features new characters and powers, and a new comic cutscene creation for the main game. Full stop. Unlike previous games, there are no karmic choices included, as the character is now a vampire and the character is not penalized for killing
Ewan,
civilians.
is
Yes, Ewan.
this infamous Back for Blood? Oh, fuck. Have I not got the
No.
title
Shannon,
quite right?
Shannon.
Shit.
Shannon.
Oh,
Shit.
I don't know. Infamous 2.
No.
Oh.
Infamous. I don't know what it is. I forgot this is even a thing, to be honest.
Yeah, I knew this would be a good one. The game is an
I'm on the right
expansion in the
track, am I?
series based
no.
on Infamous 2, but does not require a copy of Infamous 2 to play. I don't know how
I knew that
you guys
much.
are going to get this. The game received generally positive reviews and was the number one downloaded game on the PlayStation Network in November 2011.
I feel like I've got to be really close.
There you are.
Is it Infamous 2 Back for Blood?
No.
Is it Bound for Blood?
No.
Damn it.
What do we do in this situation?
Is it how many words? But I
give
feel
us
like
a
I get
clue.
the next
Give us a
guess
clue.
or two.
Infamous and then 3 words.
Yes, it's
And is blood one of those words?
Yes.
infamous taste for blood.
No.
Feast of Blood. Feast for Blood.
No.
Yeah, it's
It's I could have sworn
Why
it was
can't
Back for Blood.
that's the game. A game
a
is
game,
called Back for
mate.
Blood.
Oh. Festival of Blood. Infamous 2 Festival of Blood.
Infamous Festival of Blood.
I think I should give that to Ewan.
What did I say? Did I just say
Yeah.
famous? Infamous 2 Back for Blood? What
He
what
can
is the
have
correct
it.
answer?
I
Festival
don't know
of
if
Blood.
I ever would have got that. I
Yeah,
totally
so
forgot
Infamous
that.
Festival of Blood. I also didn't pick that based on what we were just talking about. That was just a coincidence. So
That's
congrats, Yui.
Infamous Festival of Blood. There you go.
Okay, let's go.
Wait, is it Infamous 2 Festival of Blood or Infamous Festival of Blood? Is the 2 in there
Shannon
or not?
got it. Infamous Festival of Blood.
Uh-huh.
Yet I don't get the points.
Well, you gave them up. You
How
told
does-
me it was fine.
Give us one each.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So Ewan's on 1, which will be doubled, and then Shannon's on none. But who knows, Shannon? Who knows where life
I
will
feel
take
like,
you?
yeah. I hope you throw me a bone.
Come with
for
me
my
on a
kindness.
walk. On a walk with my friends. The game is described by the developer as the mind of a psychological thriller and the body of a cinematic action game. In interviews, the game's creators hold that the game does not belong squarely in the horror video game genre.
Ewan,
The game is... Oh no, Ewan?
is this Control?
No, it's not Control.
I wonder, because we were talking about Control before the show. I wonder if you just pulled a fast one on me. That's all right.
Yeah, well, good one. The player controls the protagonist, a well-known novelist who is going through
Shannon.
the writers...
Oh,
Come on, Shannon.
Alan Wake.
It is Alan Wake. Well done. Some points for Shaddy, finally.
Yeah.
Shannon does this thing where he pauses to see if there's any
Well-
reaction before continuing.
2.
No. Okay, so here we go. Tiebreaker. I'm scared. I don't know who's going to get this. I'm really scared.
Big stakes.
The levels in this game are open-ended and they revolve around exploring and obtaining various collectibles. Each stage contains a number of crystallized somethings whom the main character must turn back to normal by locating and stepping on their bases. They then give the player advice on how to progress through the game. Another important collectible in the game is stolen treasure, which is dispersed through each level in the form of gemstones. Finding every collectible in the game unlocks an additional world that otherwise cannot be accessed.
I feel like
Oh
we
my
were both
God.
getting nervous. Did I come in first?
It's the end of the paragraph. Ewan did come in first.
That's fine.
Is this Spyro 3 Year of the Dragon? The Legend of Spyro 3 Year of the Dragon. If you want the full title. Why are you not saying anything, James?
It's not.
Damn it!
The main character has 2 offensive moves, which are used to attack enemies as well as destroy certain objects. Charging, in which the main character sprints forward and rams things with their head.
Shannon.
Yes, Shannon.
I feel like this is my free guess, right? Because I didn't take it.
No, it's not.
Well, he did buzz
Spyro
in.
the
so-
Dragon 2.
No, Shannon, it's not. Throughout the game, the main character is accompanied by Sparks, a yellow dragonfly who protects Spyro from taking damage and serves as the player's system of
Shannon.
health.
I don't know if Ewan's frozen or what's happening.
Wait, Shannon, what happened? I mean,
I don't
Ewan,
know.
He's gone. He's frozen.
I don't know. I'm so confused.
Yeah.
Who's frozen, me or Ewan?
Ewan.
Spyro the Dragon.
Like, do you get that? What's Ewan
Yes.
doing? I
I
can't
don't know.
Did you use like a
I did.
a
cast a
special power
spell.
to freeze, like a Mario Kart power up, freezes their feet? Oh my God.
Ewan.
So for anyone who doesn't have video, Ewan has disconnected and frozen at the worst possible time. Why we were doing so well, and Ewan never
were.
disconnects.
No, he doesn't, and it was a shame, but it's done. I gave him the first game, so there's no sympathy there from me.
Oh, he's coming back.
So we just
Are
had
we
some
rec-
technical
should we-
difficulties. I'm sorry there. Sorry there, James. Where did you guys leave it with what the wiki?
Well, Shannon's won. So
I don't know if I'm going to see anything and the audience going to see anything. You guys just...
We'll just say that the karma repaid me for my nicety in the first round and helped me along the way.
So what was the
it's
game?
karma when somebody else suffers. Spyro the Dragon, the first one.
It was just the first one?
Yeah,
So
it
did
was.
Shannon just go
just
Spyro
adding
the
insult to
Dragon?
injury.
Is that what he did?
Oh, he's breaking up again. You're breaking up again, Yui.
God damn it.
I can't. Oh, this is awful. Yeah. We got so close.
I'm not saying anything at the
Shannon's
moment. Why
about
is it
to
working?
collapse.
Why can I hear and see you guys and you can't see me? I don't get it.
Can I get all 3 points just for the inconvenience of this? I'm gonna have a heart attack. I can't breathe.
So you guys really can't hear me?
I just want. No, I can hear you now.
We can now.
Oh,
You're back.
okay.
It's not a good experience. though.
Okay, so we're awarding the points to Shannon
and-
and just wrapping this up.
Yeah, we are. So, congratulations, Shannon. Now you're on 27 points. You're on 23. Thanks to the double point ruling. Yeah. So with that, let us bring an end to this week's episode of the Press Start podcast. I don't know how this is going to
For
sound.
everyone's benefit.
Literally in the final edit. Subscribe to us on Listener or the podcast service of your choice, and follow us at PressStartAU, and visit the site at pressstart.com.au. We've been joined today by Ewan.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm sorry about causing technical difficulties towards the end here, but you
We
can
had
follow
you for a
me
bit.
on all the social platforms at UN_Roxbro. My eye is now also bugging
And
out as well
taking
from laugh crying.
and taking over the points, we also have Shannon. Finally.
Yes, you can follow me at Shannon Grixty. Yeah, that was smart play by my
They
self.
sabotage my internet.
And I'm back. I'm back, baby.
I've been your host, James. You can follow me on X at JamesATJMZ. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, happy gaming.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.